Today we're going to do an articulated streamer. Some people have asked us to do just a simple one to get started off with. So today we're going to be using polar chenille, marabou, some 2 6mm beads, and a fish skull head. That way you don't have to worry about putting any dumbbell eyes or any kind of deer hair. It's just a simple articulated streamer that you can use in the riffles, and it will make a nice jigging action, and you can get down in the pockets. It has some weight to it, and it really becomes lively in the drift. So using a cross cast and getting down into the lower rapids is really productive. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a rust piece of marabou as the tail. I already got the thread down to the tail. We're going to put that piece on, and we're going to make a two-tone tail, so we're going to start off with the rust. Wrap that tight. And I'm using gel spun thread. It's less prone to break, and especially with some of the materials and the bigger hooks, you want that strength. So that's what the thread I'll be using today. So cut that. Then what I like to do is take a darker one on top. We'll put the black marabou on top, about a hook shank in length, maybe about 1.5. So I'm gonna wrap that marabou tight. And on this one, I just like to bring it up through the shank of the hook. That way it kind of evens things out for the polar chenille. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least it evens it up a little bit throughout when you're wrapping the polar chenille. We have our tail, and then we're just going to take UV polar chenille. I'm using the darker color just because in the spring a lot of times the water's off color, and this color combination seems to do pretty well in the early spring. Line that back. Get that on there. Okay, wrap that up to the front. We're going to take it almost all the way to the front, probably about 3 eyes, because we're going to put marabou in front of that. So the key to this is just lining it up, making sure it's all going one way. You can pull, and as you're wrapping, just keep it to where you're pulling it back. So just take your fingers, run up through. And this is going to give you a nice bulk to the fly, and then the marabou will create a hue over the back part of this fly. Probably one more wrap. Take your fingers, moisten it, pull it back, tie it up, and then just make your base for your marabou. Then I have a rust colored marabou feather. I'm just going to find the tip of it, find it, just moisten that plume back so you have a nice anchor point in. It's fine to wet it, it's not going to hurt anything. You're just going to catch the tip, wrap up, wrap it, get it in nice and tight. Take it up almost to where you want to tie it off, clip it. And then just take your feather, just like we did with the polar chenille. You can wet your feathers, kind of guide it. You're gonna wrap it. It'll look kind of rough, but once we brush it out, it'll be fine. So just to the end, right there. Good. Gonna find our way up through to the stem. Take it, tighten it down. Hold on to that. Tighten it down. Just brush that back. Then that's going to be your back part of your fly. Just wrap that off. And we'll finish it. It doesn't have to be too neat because the marabou on the front part of the hook is going to cover that. And you're going to put your beads in. So that's the back part of the flies done. And I'll take my wire. I use Beadalon wire. You can get it at any craft store or Walmart, wherever you like. Just to make sure that that wire's on the top. All tightened down. You can put super glue down if you want, but just for simplicity's sake for the video, we'll leave it the way it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush out that marabou. I'm going to brush that marabou out for the back so it's all in line. I'm going to take 2 beads, 6mm, you can get them at any craft store. Put them in. Get them in line. I usually like to use 2 beads because if you use one, sometimes these hooks tend to come around and foul up with your front hook. So I usually like to use 2. Get that. Put the wire through there and then go through the beads. 1, 2. When I get it, I'm going to just leave enough so it moves. So I'm going to leave just a little bit of a loop there, and then that way it's free to swing. Then we're going to tie it down on top of the shank again. Just making sure it's on top so that your loop is straight in line with the hook. I'm going to tie that down to the point. Just take it down just a little bit. Tie that back up. Now you can see it's in line, and now we're ready to put marabou, crystal, chenille, UV polar chenille, and then we're going to put marabou for the front part, and then we're going to put the head on. And then that's pretty much all we need. Got that. And then we're going to do the same thing to the back. Going to find the tip of the marabou, stroke it back. Take that back almost to the point, because we're going to wrap it up, do a little bit different technique with this in the front. Take that chenille, cut that. Then we're going to take this chenille, pull it back, and then just wrap. 1, pushing the fibers back. 2, just enough to cover those beads. Nothing too earth-shattering. Just right there. Find the cutoff point, go up through your marabou, and just tie her off. So keep that tight, find your point, cut it. You can use a brush, kind of brush it off. So now we have 360 degrees around the bead, and it's catching up with the back part. Now we're just going to add more polar chenille. You can tie it all the way up through, kind of even it out. And just take it almost to the point of the chenille. Meets the marabou. Just tie it back up. Leave a little space for your marabou, because then we're going to put on the fish skull head, so I usually leave about 2 eye lengths to make sure that gets on there. Sometimes if you go too close, then you can't get the head on. Just backtrack everything. So we're just going to make sure we pull it back as we're wrapping through. We can take a brush to that too when we're done. Through. stop. Just tie it off right there. Clip it. We'll do the same thing. Just push those fibers back. Get it in. Make a nice base for our marabou. So, last part, just another piece of marabou. Find the tip again. Tie it in. Take it down to right about where you want to stop. Pull your fibers back. Should give enough room for the head to go on. Clip it and clip it rough. The head's going to hide all that. Go right to the eye, bring it back, and we'll check our head. Just a fish skull head, medium size. You always want to put, there's a lip on the bottom as a heavier part to the fish skull. You want to make sure that it's on the bottom so it rides hook down. We're going to check it. Then what I like to do is just leave enough room so that we can tie a little piece up front so that it's not wobbling around and it's set and doesn't come off. So we'll brush this back. Everything's in line. And that's basically what you're going to be looking at. Your marabou is going to pulsate through the water, and then you're going to have that shine in the back. So what I like to do at this point is just whip finish off. Take a little bit of crazy glue, put it inside your fish skull, put some on the thread, get that thread cut. Just going to put it on, push it back, and then we don't have to worry about doing any kind of deer hair or any kind of dumbbell eyes. We already got it in there, and that front part is going to give us a really good jigging action. So then I'm just going to go back to the eye, put some wraps in there, get that blocked off real nice, and just whip finish the head. So it's a size 1 in the front, 2 in the back. You can make them as big as you want, as small as you want, but this size will catch big trout on pine, and it'll give you good action. You can use a number of different colors. This one's copper, but you can also use silver, which is real good. And you even can use dubbing brushes. This one's a chartreuse to give you a different action than the polar chenille. And you can also use like a different kind of UV. It's a little bit more brown, but basically the same one that we used. So, and that's about it.